What's your favourite IPL team and who do you think will win?
Look, from the group that's there at the moment, it's going to be the Delhi Capitals.
My favourite IPL team is Royal Challengers.
So my favorite team, it's called Lucknow.
I strongly believe either it has to be Delhi Capitals, RCB, Chennai or Mumbai. One of them gonna win.
I think this might be the year for Bangalore and Virat Kohli's year to finally win an IPL, which he hasn't done yet.
So I support the Chennai Super Kings.
Right.
And I'm hoping that they win this time.
Well, I think the Mumbai Indians.
Yes, KKR is my favourite, and Shreyas Iyer is a legend.
I like Sunrisers of Hyderabad as an underdog.
One of the favourite players, Rishabh Pant from the Delhi Capitals.
Hi, this is Norman Kochnick here for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick, in collaboration with Sri Harsha Cricket. We're here today to talk about the IPL 2022. We'll talk about the players and we'll ask people, get an Australian fan reaction as to who their favourite team is and who's going to win IPL 2022. I'm just walking the streets and I found Chris here. How do you do, Chris?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good to see you. Now, Chris and I were just talking about cricket, and of course, with the IPL starting only a matter of next week, they've got 2 new teams and they've got a lot of changes. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Who's your favourite team? And also, who do you think is going to win the IPL 2022?
Ever since it started around 2009, I think I've been a great fan of KKR.
Right.
Because of that Shah Rukh Khan's team, and so I've been passionately. I think if I have to say, I'm a loyal fan of KKR.
Right.
I want them to win all the time.
Right.
But this year, I think it depends upon which team got really big hunger to win that big tournament.
Yeah.
But there are really good teams. Mumbai Indians, Chennai Super Kings. They're always really good. They always play really great. But I think this time, still I would go for RCB.
Okay.
Because the Kohli, he wanted to win, but he couldn't win in those years. And now they got Du Plessis, former South African captain. And he's a really good batsman, plus he's really good tactician too. Yeah. And he's a captain too. That's what you need.
Yeah.
And if you really see, just recently last final, he played really good. For Chennai Super King, he played as a opener, and he played really good. And I think, and then he was dropped for T20 World Cup from South Africa.
Crazy.
So he's a great player. So I don't know why they do that, but he got that. What do you call when he poke B, when he disrespect champion, it's not really good thing to do. But he got lots of things to prove too. Sure. He wanted to show that he can be a good T20 player, which he did in the final last year for Chennai Super King.
It was a great selection by Royal Challengers Bangalore. They picked the right man and with Kohli.
And the situation was really good because he wanted to prove I'm still the best. That's true. He did that. And this time, I think as a captain, he will do that again. And I think that can be X factor. Plus, Kohli would be there, Maxwell. There are a few players who can win the comp. I still believe because they are the really one team really wants to win that game, win that tournament. So I strongly believe they will be top 4 for sure. But in the finals, it's gonna be top 4 team would be Mumbai Indians, RCB, Chennai Super King, and 4th not sure. Yeah.
What about, or you never know, Lucknow, of course, Gujarat might be the ones that get in. Gujarat obviously have picked very well in their selections. Lucknow Super Giants and Gujarat Titans are the names of those 2 teams. They've done really well with their selections. Yeah. But Delhi Capitals, we can't forget them. They've got Warner now as well, so there's a fair bit going on.
Delhi Capitals is a good team too. If you really see, they got Rishabh Pant and they got Warner now. Yeah. They're really good team. They're really good. But if I have to pick forward, I would say I strongly believe either it has to be Delhi Capitals, RCB, Chennai or Mumbai. One of them gonna win.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Chris, for that. I really appreciate that. And I just happen to have Stephen O'Keefe next to me. How are you, Steve?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions, mainly about the IPL.
Sure.
And in my humble opinion, you should be in Pakistan right now. But that's
thank you.
Honestly, you would have nailed it, I think. But that's just my thoughts. But I think the selectors should know that as well. Oh, well, Stephen, I was going to ask you a question about the IPL and specifically about your favourite team.
Yep.
And also, who do you think is going to win the IPL?
Okay, well, I think favourite team, and it's a team that hasn't won it, would be, I'd have to say, is Bangalore. I love the way that they play their cricket. They've always been pretty exciting in picking, world-class batters with De Villiers and the like. But yeah, I think this might be the year for Bangalore, and Virat Kohli's year to finally win an IPL, which he hasn't done yet. So there's my red hot tip for you.
Well, it certainly is a red hot tip. I mean, now they've got Faf du Plessis captaining their side. They've got obviously Glenn Maxwell just got married, as you would know, and obviously Virat Kohli. So that's a great combination. They've got, I think, Jason Behrendorff as well, and even Hazelwood's bowling for them as well.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So I think they've always had the stocks. I just think this will be the year, and I think, as you said, without Virat maybe at the helm, he might relax a little bit more and produce some of those beautiful match-winning batting innings that we've come to know and love from him. But I think this will be the year, and Glenn Maxwell seems to have really found his stride over there last year. He was brilliant for him. So, Bangalore this year on top.
Straight from Stephen O'Keefe, and look, quite frankly, a man that should be in the IPL this year and should also be playing against Pakistan. And not disparaging both Schweppes and obviously Nathan Lyon, but I think you're the missing link, in my opinion.
Appreciate that, Norm. Good on you, mate. But I think the boys will do well over there in the last test, and they've got the spinning stocks well covered. So, but I appreciate it. Good on you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Good on you.
This is Eyes on Cricket with Norman Koshnak. Thank you very much. Hi, it's Norman Koshnak here. I've got Peter, who's the photographer for Randwick Petersham. How are you, Peter?
Pleased to meet you.
Pleased. So Peter's here. He's going to tell us who he thinks, in fact, who's his favourite team for the IPL, and some of the players who are there, and who's going to win.
One of the favourite players, Rishabh Pant from the Delhi Capitals. He's
Fantastic.
He's a real goer. I like the way he bats.
That's great. So Rishabh Pant from Delhi Capitals is who Peter thinks will be both the winner and he's his favourite team. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you. All the best. Hi, it's Norman Koshnak here from Coogee Oval. I have Veena with me now, who's actually the scorer for today's match between Randwick Petersham and Manly. And I'm going to ask you, Veena, how are you, Veena, by the way?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Very
It's been
well.
a beautiful day here in Sydney.
It certainly has been, hasn't it?
It has. Beautiful, yeah.
So Veena's here and she's going to tell me who her favourite IPL team is and who's going to win IPL 2022.
My favorite IPL team is Royal Challengers because that's the place where I grew up in, so that's what I would go for. And Glenn Maxwell plays for them, and he's a great player, and that's what I would go for, Royal Challengers. My second team would be the Mumbai team, which is, I go for that because Daniel Sams, who plays for Randwick Petersham, is part of it, and that's what I would go for.
All right. So Veena's going for RCB because you've come from there, as well as the fact that Glenn Maxwell's there, and now they've got Faf du Plessis as the captain. But you have a soft spot there for the second team, your second favourite, which is, of course, Mumbai Indians, because of Daniel Sams, who plays for this club here. And he's not here today, but he normally plays for this team, which is great. Thank you, Veena.
Thank you.
I'm basically in Coogee at a lovely Italian eatery called Spaghetteria. It is the best pasta I've had in a long time. You must come down here to Cloverley Road in Coogee, Spaghetteria. But I've also met up with Tal, one of the owners of the restaurant.
Hey guys.
How are you? Say hello, Tal.
I'm good. How are you guys? Welcome.
Now Tal here is Italian, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But he's also a cricket mad person, and he's been watching the IPL, the Indian Premier League, correct?
Right. Correct.
And I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. One question around who is your favourite IPL team?
So my favorite team, it's a kind of new team. It's called Lucknow, and my favorite player, it's Rahul. That is actually the captain, and I really support them, and I want them to win this time.
Fantastic. So Rahul, KL Rahul's the captain of Lucknow Super Giants. Tal here is going to be their supporter. And do you think they're going to win the competition as well?
100%.
100%?
100%, man. They are a new team. They came with this drive to win. You know, it's like the underdog, but we're going to make it.
Well, there you have it. Tal's telling us Lucknow Super Giants with KL Rahul as captain is going to win the IPL 2022. And come here to Spaghetteria and you'll not resent it. It's the best food I've had in a long time, and I know about my food. I'm here in what is effectively Coogee Randwick, and we have a lovely Italian pasta place, and I've met up with Peter here. Nice to meet you, Peter.
Norman, always a pleasure.
Thank you. Now, Peter's a cricket aficionado. I was going to throw some questions at him, and I better get my microphone ready. Who is your favourite IPL team, and why? And also, are they going to win?
Well, I think the Mumbai Indians are strongly fancied this year, and I would suspect that they will be very close to winning. Whoever beats them will probably win it.
Right, that's very much correct. And of course, they've got Rohit Sharma as captain.
One of the greats of the modern Indian game, so that's a great start.
Yeah. And Peter also was telling me off screen about his romance or the liking of Sachin Tendulkar.
Of course, the great, probably the greatest Indian of all times. Certainly in the last 20 or 30 years, I don't think anyone really comes close, although there are a few like Kohli, Virat Kohli, who aspire to be as great as him, but well, it's going to be tough for them to reach that mountaintop.
I totally agree. And you mentioned Farooq Engineer, which is another player from the yesteryear, but he's not playing anymore.
No, we were introduced to Farooq Engineer in 1971 when he came to Australia with a World 11, which was a tour organised after the South African tour was cancelled. So Bishan Bedi was also in that touring squad. So that was our introduction to the great Farooq Engineer and Bishan Bedi.
Amazing bit of history there. I'd forgot about Farooq Engineer, and Peter brought it back to my attention. But thank you for that. Now, other than the IPL discussion, which is about Mumbai Indians, both is your favourite, and they're going to win the IPL flag 2022, you're going to bring another story out. What's that story all about?
The story of...
your own personal experience.
Oh, my own personal experience?
Yeah, you're going to bring up a personal little story that I stopped you on earlier.
Refresh my memory. I'm 62 years old, and
you were launching into a story, and I said, "Wait a minute, don't talk about it. If it's a good story, talk about it on."
And where was I going with it?
You were talking about the yesteryear period, I think, of Australia and the like, and Lenny Pascal, and you were going into that story. You want to tell a story about that? And then Farooq Engineer came up.
Oh yes, and so my memory of early 70s cricket is stronger than probably my recollection of recent cricket. I can tell you more about a test played in 1974 than I can of a test played in 2021, which probably says a bit about my short-term memory loss, but also my passion for 70s cricket, which for fellows my age is a fairly consistent theme.
Exactly, Peter. Now, I mean, the 1974 or thereabouts team, I could probably mention it player by player. I mean, we could talk about Wally Edwards, or even we go back to Rick McCosker and openers like even Ross Edwards was in the side as well. And you had the Chappells, Ian and Greg Chappell. You had Rod Marsh. You had a whole list of other bowlers: Lily Thompson with Marsh as keeper, as I said, Max Walker. You can keep going on that line of Ashley Mallard as spinner. I'm missing a batsman now. Who am I missing? Well, Johnny Dyson was a bit after that, but yeah, around that period was a lot of great.
They had the great Western Australian Ross Edwards,
of course.
And you have to bear in mind. In those days, if you played 40 or 50 test matches, that was considered a long career, and of course only played 5, maybe at the most 7 test matches a year. That's compared to the current roster. You can be playing 12, 15 test matches in a year nowadays. The calendar is ongoing and goes 12 months of the year, whereas batsmen you just mentioned, you didn't see a lot of them.
No.
So when you actually did see them play, and you also have to bear in mind the television coverage wasn't as thorough, it was actually an event to go out and watch these guys. And I think with the saturation of the calendar, the cricket calendar, and the saturation of TV coverage, a lot of these cricketers, as great as they are in the modern era, have lost that mystique that the guys you mentioned had in the 70s. So I think that's got a lot to do with it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, to see Jeff Thompson only play during summer because he went and played AFL or whatever sport he played in the winter. The other thing is, of course, the man I was thinking was Ian Redpath. He was another man of that era as well.
The antique dealer from Geelong.
Well, talking about Geelong, or more so Melbourne, of course, the private funeral of Shane Warne took place today, which was a very sad moment. But thank you for your time, Peter. I really appreciate it.
Norm, it's a great pleasure, and enjoy your pasta and keep up the good work.
Thank you. And I bumped into Grant. How are you?
Good, buddy.
And what's your name of your dog?
I got a little bloke named Nelson here. He's pulling my shoulder out of joint. It's my throwing arm too.
Well, Grant, you know your cricket, I guess, do you?
I do, yeah.
All right, and the IPL in the Premier League, which is on very shortly next week.
Yeah, I've watched a fair bit of that in my time.
Yeah? Yeah. So what I'm going to ask you is, who's your favourite team, and who do you think is going to win the IPL for 2022?
Mate, I just have to go out and in sympathy for Shane Warne's passing.
Yeah.
Rajasthan, where were they?
Rajasthan Royals.
Yeah, he was the Rajasthan Royals, wasn't he? So I'm going to hit with them, and I'm going to stick with them too, because just in memory of Warney, I think I might just stick with those boys.
It's a wonderful gesture, Grant. I really appreciate the fact that Shane Warne has meant so much to you as an individual, as well as all of the world, quite frankly. It's been amazing, hasn't it?
Yeah, mate. He's the same age as me, and I watched him grow up as a young bloke playing, and I played a bit of cricket myself as a younger years, but he changed cricket in Australia, and you saw young blokes trying to do those leggies and such after he came along, and he changed the game and made it better, and it sort of lost its appeal to me a bit when Warney pulled the pin, but the last test, the Ashes I watched just recently were fantastic, so it got me again. But yeah, we once in a generation player, so it's hard to replicate him, even with Lions having a go there.
Yeah, that's true. And Swepson and the like aren't cutting it. I don't think they're not up to it. There can never be another Shane Warne, can they?
No, he's a freak. Yeah, freak.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Grant. That's one of the gestures that I was, really not expecting to hear today. But I'm glad you brought it up because we know how significant he was. He was buried on yesterday, in fact, wasn't he? Yeah. Only yesterday. Private cerebral.
Especially when he's the same age as you. It seemed like he was supposed to last for a long time, but he hasn't, and very sorely missed. Warney.
Yeah, he certainly will be. So, but with the IPL Rajasthan Royals in honour of Shane Warne. Grant, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure, mate.